Hi, this is Corey Franklin with Remembering the Past, the show where we talk about people who've died recently who've had a profound effect on our history, our society, or our culture. Tonight we're going to begin with Oscar Hijuelos, who died at the age of 62 recently, and he was the first Latin American winner of the Pulitzer Prize in Fiction. He won the Pulitzer Prize in 1990 for his second novel, The Mambo Kings Play Songs of Love. It was adapted into the 1992 film The Mambo Kings, starring Armand and Antonio Banderas. He was born in Morningside Heights in New York City, but he was of Cuban descent. Studied at the same school as my father, City College of New York. He started writing short stories when he was in his 20s while he was working in advertising. Here's a brief reported interview with Oscar Hijuelos from Public Broadcasting by Judy Woodruff and Ray Suarez.
Finally tonight, remembering writer Oscar Hijuelos, who died yesterday of an apparent heart attack. A Cuban-American, he was the first Latino to win the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction for his 1989 novel, The Mambo Kings Sing Songs of Love. Ray Suarez talked with him in 2011 after his memoir, Thoughts Without Cigarettes, was published.
I never thought I would be a writer growing up. I certainly never thought that as a kid. And even when a lot of people around me expressed strong confidence in what they saw as my gifts or emerging gifts, I always doubted them. I mean, to this day, I'm not sure if that came about because of the insecurities I had felt, psychologically speaking, as a kid being separated from his family, or if it had to do with looking at the way my parents' generation experienced American life in general with some trepidation, anxiety. I've talked to my older brother Jose about this, and essentially we've both agreed that we grew up having to overcome a feeling of, I say the term second-classness. I mean, a lot of people take, reading and writing and being good at something for granted, but if you come up in a certain way without a lot of positive reinforcement, it takes a lot, like Pulitzer Prizes and being published all over the world to make you feel pretty good about yourself. But even when that happens, I've always had my doubts. I've never let go of my childhood contacts. My best friends from childhood are still my best friends, but on the other hand, your world expands in a way. But it's sort of, you go from being a private individual to sort of almost, in some lights, becoming a carnival act. I sometimes felt like a freak, simply because the level of my success in traveling around the world as quote, a Latino writer, as much as anything, was sort of wonderful and also very strange for me at the same time, because indeed I came up as but one version of many potential versions of Latinos that there could be. As I say in the memoir, I've never intended to represent myself as a spokesman for anybody but myself. And yet I would be in a round table in Sweden, in Stockholm, Sweden, at a live television show, and the host would come on and look around trying to figure out who the Latino guy was in the group. That kind of thing was both interesting and alarming at the same time.
We'll come back to the theme of positive reinforcement for minority artists later in the show. Well, part of the Mambo Kings movie is about Armand Assante and Antonio Banderas as two brothers who meet Desi Arnaz when they're playing in a club in New York, and Desi offers them a guest spot on I Love Lucy in the 1950s. Desi Arnaz, by the way, is played by Desi Arnaz Jr., his son.
You have to go. I want to tell you something before I do. That Canción you fellas played at the club tonight, Beautiful Maria, see, yeah, it's a great song. I really like it. Thank you. I want you to come on my show. Do it for me there.
Oh, that's nice.
It's a nightclub show. No, I mean the I Love Lucy show. In Hollywood?
I Love Lucy show?
Yes, Hollywood. Gracias, viejo, gracias. Sí, es cierto, qué bonita. Sí, yo nunca he visto este color en Cuba. No, verdad, sí. Es un color natural. He wants to know if the color of your hair is natural.
Oh, well, certainly tell him it's natural. My father and my mother both had red hair. Oh, Ricky, go ahead and tell them.
El color de pelo de ella es lo mismo que el color de pelo en Cuba, ¿tú comprendes? Lo único que se lo conserva de esa manera con una henna rinse. Henna rinse.
I have an idea my hair suffered in the translation.
From the movie Mambo Kings, adapted from the novel by Oscar Hijuelos. We move on now to Bum Phillips, the peripatetic coach of the Houston Oilers in the 1970s who died recently at the age of 90. He was a great coach, but he never quite had the teams to get over the Pittsburgh Steelers of the late 70s. Here's an ESPN report on Bum Phillips.
The Oilers had come up with a brand new head coach that nobody ever heard of. A good old boy named O.A. Bum Phillips.
Bum Phillips became a character because he represented the city where he coached so well. Big hat, boots on the sideline.
What's your favorite skin?
Really, probably ostrich. You know, it's so soft, it's like a teacher's leg.
He fit Houston and Texas like a glove.
Like a glove?
Walks around chewing tobacco and spitting.
You saw a sign, huh? It ain't over till the fat man spits. What a horse.
When this real-life cowboy became coach of the Houston Oilers in the mid-'70s, many wondered if he'd be able to rustle up wins in the NFL.
People didn't understand how you could have a head coach who wore a cowboy hat. You wear a fedora if you're a great head coach like Bear Bryant or like Tom Landry. You don't wear a cowboy hat.
By the late 70s, the Oilers were a Super Bowl contender, and Houston had fallen in love with Bum.
He believed in winning, but that was only half the equation. The other half was having fun while you do it.
He would stop practice and bring out an ice cream truck and to have ice cream for the players. He said, now I believe you win by being a family.
We might as well run it. Yep. Let's run the Bummerooski. Run the Bummerooski.
Our number 8 character spoke a language straight from the Old West.
Oh, come on, hellfire! Now, you can't do that. If you do it, I'm telling you, you're going to have more hell over it than a little bit.
They actually had a book, Bumisms.
They say the harder we played, the behinder we got.
We got the football. There was one about Don Shula. Shula could take his'n and beat urine. He could take urine and beat his'n.
No matter what Bum said, he couldn't get the Oilers past their biggest rival. Houston lost the AFC Championship game to Pittsburgh in 1978 and 79.
2 years ago, we knocked on the door. This year, we kicked at the door. Next year, we're going to kick the damn door in, and it turned out the door fell on him.
That ain't funny.
The day that he was fired, we still refer to as the New Year's Eve Massacre. I have fans today that tell me when they fired Bum Phillips, I became a Cowboys fan, and in Houston, that's like...
The character in the cowboy hat is still to this day number 1 in the hearts of Houston.
Jeff Fisher has the best record in the history of any Oilers Titans coach.
Now let's bring it!
But the most popular coach in that franchise's history was Bum Phillips.
Thank y'all for coming out. Hey, don't give you a kiss.
I haven't met anybody yet that I ever played against that the first thing out of their mouth is, what was it like playing for Bum Phillips?
Oh, Daniel!
It was the best of times, no question.
Bum Phillips was a funny guy. His best player ever was Earl Campbell. I once asked him if Earl Campbell was in a class by himself. He says, I don't know about that, but it doesn't take long to call roll. And to close on Bum Phillips, you have to close with a little bit of the Houston Oilers song.
Houston Oilers, Houston Oilers #1.
We're going to finish tonight with Maxine Powell, who died at the age of 98. She was the head of the charm school at Motown. She came from the South, moved to Chicago, then moved to Detroit, opened a charm school in the late 50s. Berry Gordy's mother studied there, and she advised him to put Maxine on the payroll at Motown, and he did. Here at the end of her life, she talked about her experience at Motown.
My name is Maxine Powell. I am a motivator and an image builder. I teach personal development and self-growth. I had a finishing school in Detroit that no one, I'm from Chicago, that no one has equaled today. And I opened up in 1952, before there was a Motown. And Mrs. Gordy, Bear's mother, took my course, personal development and self-growth. Esther Edwards, that has the museum, and her sister took my course. There was no Motown. I closed my finishing school. We became very friendly and opened a finishing school within Motown. And that is unique today. There's never been a finishing school, white or black, around the world in 2002, you see. And when I opened up in 1964, the finishing school, and the purpose was to help the artists become class and to know what to do on stage and off stage, because they did come from humble beginnings. Some of them from the project, and some of them were using street language. Some were rude and crude. You understand? But with me, it is not where you come from. It's where you're going. And I teach class. and I teach today. No one is difficult. Each person is a beautiful, unique human being. You came in the world somebody. So if you have a problem and you're acting negative, you have been conditioned by someone or some environment because you came into the world, couldn't walk and couldn't talk, and you couldn't control even your body in any kind of way. So you have been conditioned by somebody. And I said to my students, allow me to help you unmask and become and realize and discover what a beautiful flower you are. I worked with Martha Reeves and the Banderas, Diana Ross and the Supreme, Marvin Gaye, Tammy Terrell, The Temptation, Smoky Robinson, and Stevie. But I didn't do anything for Stevie. He was always beautiful. And the Marvelettes and the Velvet, don't forget, they were youngsters in 1964. Yes. I said earlier that I had worked with them. And I believe in class. You see, class will turn the heads of kings and queens. I have nothing. I don't need a school anymore. I just lectured at the University of Indiana. I started in 1952. I'm way above that, say. And I worked for General Motors. And I just finished with 10 of their young engineers. And I worked with one subject, how to deal with difficult people. I set up classes according to what is needed. I even have reparenting, you see. And nobody knew anything about me until Caucasians found out I was about.
Really?
Yes, because who knows what personal development and self-growth is concerned. We're busy trying to get a few degrees, and that is what you need because that's your basic foundation, so you can go in many directions. But you could be just like you were as far as attitude and behavior and winning when you came from elementary school. So it's a whole different ballgame. I don't get angry because if we have not had a chance, we do not know. So now is the time to find out that your degrees and your career is your basic foundation, like building a building. If you didn't have the foundation, the building would soon fall down. That's all your education is so you can go in many directions. So you must get on the ball, learn how to control your emotion, become a diplomat, and learn self-discipline. Learn how to make your enemy your footstool. Quit getting so angry.
Here she talks about one of her favorite students who also had great things to say about her, Martha Reeves.
Martha Reeves said, well, Miss Powell, sometime when they were on the Motown review, well, then they would be, some of them would be kind of tired, you know, and youngsters, young people. Right. And Martha had a problem with waking up and speaking well. It took her about 12 o'clock. So I said to her one day, Martha, would you like for me to help you with that? I said, because you should wake up beautiful. And then I deal with what's not right, and what's wrong. I don't like that, and what's proper. We deal with how you feel. So if she felt like that, then I had to find a way to work with her. She said, yeah, I'd like for you to help me. So what we did, we went looking for joke books. So she began to read jokes. I mentioned to the rest of the artists, I said, Martha is going to read, she has a joke book, and she's going to read these jokes aloud, which means that she's sharing with you. I said, and if it isn't funny, laugh anyway, because everyone is complaining. And she woke up with the joke book and went to bed with it. And then she went out and bought books. And she said that I'm the first one that made her feel like she was somebody. So that's the sort of thing that we did.
Maxine Powell. I give Barry Gordy a lot of grief on this show, but I have to give him credit for hiring people like Maxine Powell and Charlie Atkins from the Chitlin Circuit. We're going to close on that note. I want to thank my producer, Sid Tepps, and we're going to close with my favorite Martha Reeves song. Not her biggest hit, but a great song that sort of embodies her relationship with Maxine Powell.
Wow.